I still remember, even now, those hushed rumors that swirled around the Rumiverse even before the 2022 TWE Rum Show. Richard Seal had something new, something original, and something really freaking fierce in his leopard skin rock star trousers. And while supposedly it wasn't on the shelves, maybe, just maybe, if you gave a sly wink and a significant nod to Pete Holland, who was tending the booth at the TWE Rum Show that year, then possibly, maybe you could score a taste. That's the way the tall tale teller in me likes to pretend it did. But the truth is really actually rather more prosaic. Yes, we did hear rumors about this new white rum from Foursquare. It would be a pot still or a column still. We weren't entirely sure, but it was going to be made from cane juice. But few of the rum junkies who go to these things have ever tried it. And of course, Foursquare has this incredible reputation that we really wanted to see what he came up with, especially since it was part of the Habitation Velier line, which I've talked about before. They're one of the key rum series of the world. They do nothing but pot stills. And if you want to see a representative of pot still rums from around the world, then Habitation Velier is absolutely the place to go, even though these days, even now, they're starting to get a little bit more pricey. But anyway, as it turned out, that day, we didn't have to beg, bribe, bully, or bludgeon the hapless Mr. Holland for a sample of this thing. But he did mention that there was just one bottle for each day of the festival. And as a consequence, we better get our samples and our tastings done fast, just in case it ran out, which it did. But of course, the sovereignty and the isonomy were on display at that same time, and as a consequence, there was everybody was being spoiled for choice. So it wasn't as if something so obscure and off the rails was actually going to be seriously interesting, except to the serious connoisseurs, aficionados, and rum junkies. Okay, what is it? If you want the title, it is the Habitation Velier Foursquare long fermented, unaged pot still high ester rum. And that really kind of is a mouthful. It channels the Jamaican. There's no two ways about it. But it's very interesting that what Richard has done is he deliberately did not want to use high ester because he felt that it was part of the identification of Jamaican rums. And what he would have preferred to do, and he did, is he called it the LFT, the long fermentation type, which was a process that had happened a long time before and a name that had been applied to rums that were moving away from cane juice back in 100, 150 years ago. And they moved towards molasses type rum, started to gather some steam. And I've got in the written review that will accompany this, I go into this in a little bit more detail. Another point that I wanted to make was that it was deliberately not pushed out, as part of the regular Durleys or Foursquare line of rums, not even the, exceptional cask series or anything like that, because it remains something of an experimental. The batches are small. There isn't enough cane juice or so to seriously make this a regular occurrence, except in the most limited of batches. So between this Habitation Velier, and there are two of them, and the Triple Entente, they're going to remain niche products for people who really like to see where Foursquare can take its shit. Right. And he was happy that it could be released through Habitation Velier because there's a certain element of experimental nature to the entire line that he quite liked. And therefore, it became something of more educational. And he wanted to see what the reaction would be before committing the entire company to it. As it turns out, of course, it still remains somewhat of a niche product, and that's never going to change. So production notes. What have we got? Well, it was bottled in 2021. It is unaged, and it was released to the public in 2022. And there are two versions of this. The version that I'm reviewing here is the one that has on the label 555 grams per hectoliter of pure alcohol. And the second release doesn't have that statement, right? It's a blend. Careful with this. It's a blend of cane juice and molasses-based washes. In other words, before it goes through the still. I don't know the proportions of each, but I think the cane juice is somewhat dominant on this one. The cane juice element was fermented with wild natural yeast for several weeks, note that. And a yeast ferment was added to the molasses component for about 3 days, right? And then it was run through the Foursquare's pot still, and then it was bottled at 62%. Wow. So The thing I like about not only pot stills but cane juice rums and white rums, unaged ones, is that when they come off of a trapiche, a single column still or a pot still, they are creatures to treat with a lot of respect and, yeah, occasionally fear, especially if one comes to them from a perspective of standard strength filtered whites or inoffensive young gold rums. But when one noses this, and I'm going to call it the LFT, right? When one noses this LFTs, you can understand why I'm talking about this note of caution. Oof, excuse me. I mean, it smells right off the bat like a dirty, stinky martini with a ton of olives pushed into it. It's extraordinarily dry. It's 62%. I mean, what do you expect, right? But the thing is, the lighter sugarcane sap and sugar water notes start to come through. Green peas from a tin, the water that you get when you decant, that sort of thing. Sweet corn, white guavas, grass, green apples, grapes, herbs, burnt paper, wet cardboard. I mean, there is so much going on here, as well as some sulfur, ash minerals, iodine, dried seaweed. I mean, this is like a one-stop nosing shop, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's raw, it's heavy, it's flavorful, and it's bursting at the seams with every single inhale. I mean, I could not say enough interesting things about it. Notice I don't say good, but I do say interesting. Wow. Excuse me, I'll take another just to wash that down. The palate is not dropping the ball, not in the slightest. It's hot, it's spicy, but it is firm. It isn't actually, that kind of harshness that you get from some really bad made hooch. It's not snarkily scratchy, so you don't have to call for an EMT or anything to untangle your glottis. So the initial tastes are rubber, nail polish, acetones, and turpentine. That burns off really quick, and that leads the charge. But behind all of that is where the interesting stuff starts to come in. And then you've got a parade of sweet and sour fruit. It's yogurt, grass, dill, herbs, pears, apples, gooseberries, grapes, raisins, brine, olives, sugar water. I mean, I could just go on about this. I mean, I've got a fairly large sample here, and I've been to do this review, I've kind of like jotting down my notes and trying to fix them in my mind exactly what I'm getting. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple of things. But I mean, it's an incredible sipping experience for somebody who is a little bit more conditioned than most to having very, very strong rums. And the fact that it is unaged doesn't make never mind. It really is that good. The finish in particular is something that I should mention because so many rums drop the ball on this stuff. Yeah, it's long, it's dry, it's sweet, it's fruity. There's the estery notes of pineapple, half-ripe mangoes. There's some cardamom, there's some sugar water, there's yogurt, laban, tart gooseberries again. Yes, olives, brine. And I mean, it takes an impressively long time to fade from the senses, but not in memory. I mean, I've had this bottle here for quite a while, right? And I go back to it every now and then when I want to freak out some poor native Torontonians who just think Jamaica's and Appleton is the world. Yeah, no. Okay. All right. So, evaluation. This has all the hallmarks of a real agricole style rum in spite of the molasses component, which must be minor because the cane juice side of things really does take front, right? It is a blend and the pot still provides an interesting balance of the heavier and lighter notes. I like the fact that there's some citrus and some fruity stuff in there that kind of like has the top notes before you have the rather more solid mellow middle. And, I did remark when I was talking about the Mother Messiah the other day, that it was like a dialed down clearing, which it is, and that wasn't entirely a compliment. But here, it's hard to tell the difference between a true agricole from the French islands and this one. And indeed, there are elements on the LFT that few, if any, of the French island cane juice rums have, and that's probably coming from the molasses side of things. And that's what makes it interesting. That's what elevates the experience. This is something new. And of course, after having tried as many rums as I have, I really enjoy seeing where a master distiller can take things in new directions. So much of what enthused me, for example, about the Worthy Park High Ester cane juice rum that I was talking about not too long ago is also on display with this one. And yet it is completely uniquely itself. Now, honestly compels me to admit that it really isn't for everybody, right? Especially not casual drinkers. And some of these notes that I describe here will be off-putting to some. But if you want to indulge me in my sense of humor, to me that's a trap for the non-serious people to leave it the fuck alone, and to leave more for the rest of us who really enjoy this kind of craziness, and what I like seeing is when a person or a distillery that is used to making one type of rum and is known for making very good bourbon style pot column blends such as the ECS series, frees himself from the strictures of the market and simply makes what the hell he feels like it. Now, I don't know how far back your memories go, but if you remember, the 1998 ECS Mark I was released at 40%. Richard was furious about that. He begged the distributors to let him jump it up to something a bit more serious. And he was told, no, the market can't do this. And, you have to release it at 40%. And he kind of swallowed the indignity of it and he released it as such. But he's now gotten way past that point. And he's gotten now to the stage where he can release something like this and have a person like me who, if you read any of my past stuff, wasn't always all that enthusiastic about Foursquare. Sorry, Richard. But amazing. It takes us in the direction that we want to see rums go. It's something that appeals to parts of it without trying to appeal to everybody in the mass market, right? Now, most of us who watch rums, pay attention to the news, see the new distilleries opening up all around the world, whether it's in Africa or Asia, Australia or Britain or South America or the Caribbean or North America and so on. We like seeing this sort of stuff. And we would normally, I think we would call this a red letter day when we see it happen. But I suspect, from my sense of humor aside, that the day he made this rum, he just stuck his hands in his leopard skin trousers and he shrugged and he said, it's Tuesday. So yeah, I'm really enthusiastic about it. This is an 87, 88 point rum. Even if it's unaged, even if it's cane juice, even if it's white, even if it's feral as all get out, it's a great rum. And I really, really like this one. So hope you get to get a taste of it. And if you do have an opinion, please let me know. Otherwise, that's it for today. Take care of yourselves, everybody.